One would like to think that Chip Kelly can have some success against SC's defense, right? Right? Bueller?
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast. And hey, it's BSC week. Go Bruins, baby. And if you're an everydayer, we're talking every day about the UCLA SC matchup. Last time that they're Pac-12 opponents playing each other. They'll be Big Ten opponents, cool, but it's different when you're representing the Pac and go beat them down in the Coliseum because it's personal. This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn because every potential new hire can feel like a high-stakes wager. New UCLA coach? Maybe. That's why LinkedIn Jobs help you find the right people for your team. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Terms and conditions apply. No terms and conditions apply to this. UCLA football, their offense has been absolutely garbage. It has not been good as it should be under Chip Kelly. It's one thing for it to be bad. We've seen definitely UCLA's offense be much worse. This is certainly not the worst offense in UCLA's history. It's just disgusting considering who is at the helm of it all, what they're capable of, and they can do a little bit more than what I think they've shown on the field and been able to produce at times, going deep in the red zone is being unable to score points, whether it be three or most importantly, getting in the end zone. So how does UCLA dissect a defense that's got holes so wide open that it's like, hey, it's wide open up the middle. It's wide open on the side. It's wide open everywhere in the USC defense. Where does UCLA struggle? Well, they probably will find places to struggle, but it's the bad versus the bad. We'll talk about the good versus the good later in the week. We're going to start off with the atrocious defense for USC and how UCLA is going to have to put up more than 10 points. Easy. They should. They should put up more than 25 points. UCLA should go in this game and put up 30 points. Minimum. They should. Will they? Do I have confidence in their ability to do so? Even with an Alex Grinch-less, I don't know, defense, since they fired their defensive coordinator, didn't help them fully. You know, they still gave up 36 to Oregon. Now they put in a better effort. It was at Oregon, different things. And Oregon did some goofy things to not put points on the scoreboard, just like the Ducks did in Washington when they lost to Washington. Besides the point, UCLA should be able to score against an SC team that has just absolutely, for all intents and purposes, been atrocious. You go to the national stat page for all college football teams, and you're looking at total defense. You see UCLA in the top 10, which I've now lovingly adored this defense, despite a mistake or two made in the game against Arizona State. Here they are, opposed the UCLA offense looking at this SC defense. You go to the final page. It's like, all right, there's top defenses. There's the middle of the pack. Usually UCLA in recent years prior to this year had been middle of the pack, maybe on the third page. SC all the way at the bottom amongst a lot of teams that generally don't have winning football squads like Stanford, like Colorado. And what did the Bruins do against Stanford and Colorado? They got things going. Against Stanford, the Bruins moved the football. Against Colorado, the Bruins coughed it up, and they survived to win the game. Against USC, the Bruins cannot absolutely turn it over. Remember in that high-scoring thriller in the Rose Bowl last year, I don't really want to bring it up too much, but what cost the Bruins in that game? It was turnovers. Turnovers. Now this game is going to predicate themselves. The Bruins are going to be able to be successful in this game if they, one, protect the quarterback. It's looking a lot more likely, probably, that it's Garbers. I haven't seen too much talk about more. Although it's truly up in the air until we get to the game. And with Schlee, reportedly a no-show of sorts at practice the last couple of days, not practicing from what we've read and what I've read in limited practice availability from what the reporters at practice have said, it doesn't look like Schlee's there. Garbers looks more of a healthier option than he did a week ago, and I'm not really sure the status of Moore. So one, that's important. Protect the quarterback. Because if Schlee's not available, you're not going to have him as that change of pace option to do an option play every 5, 6, or 7 or so plays, or even take a drive where he just runs the football every play. He can still be capable of doing that, Maybe not so much running an entire game like he did against Arizona State, although I don't think UCLA put Chip Kelly did not put Schley and the Bruins into better position to succeed on Saturday night against the Sun Devils. Schley could have run all over this USC defense, but we're not going to get that. We're going to get more of a traditional quarterback between a Garbers or more at this moment, what it looks like this early in the week. And it's all important that UCLA protects the quarterback. Because even though SC can find ways to give up big plays again and again, if they're going to get to more or get to Garbers, we've seen this story before, an interception here, lack of protection there, and a UCLA drive is going to stall, and it turns in from a terrible defense to a bend but don't break defense. SC this year, in 11 games, has given up 50 touchdowns, nearly 450 yards per game. They give up nearly 6.5 yards per play. Not 2 plays, not 3 plays, 6.5 yards per play. So on average, you should be running things that get you a first down every 2 plays. Forget 3rd and longs. Forget 3rd and shorts, 4th and shorts. On average, how bad this USC defense is, you run 2 plays, you're getting a first down. That is what it is looking like. Numerically, let's simply put, you can go schemes, everything. All you got to do is make sure you don't get into 3rd downs, which can help you protect your quarterback. Don't commit stupid penalties, and then you can have a lot more success. Just simpleton things, and you can have success against a terrible defense on the other side. Now, can it happen? Will it happen? Am I blind in just negating everything that's going on? I'm not trying to say that, because UCLA has had their struggles offensively. This is a worst on worst unit versus unit battle, and that's hard to say for a Chip Kelly-led team. We knew SC was going to struggle defensively after last year and heading into this year. That was a point of emphasis, and that is what has cost them dearly on the other side to be a 4-loss team. And yet UCLA, with a win, could be 7-4, drop SC to 7-5, and continue this tailspin, because in recent weeks, what's led SC to some super struggles, they've been able to hold off their conference opponents like Colorado, even though they gave up 41 points to the Buffaloes. We'll hold off in the Arizona game because that game went triple overtime. They won. But 48 at Notre Dame, 34 points at home to Utah, 49 at Cal, 52 to Washington at home, and 36 at Oregon, which is still a semi-impressive number. But it did take a dumb thing or two from Oregon to miss getting 40 points in that game. You limit your mistakes simply by limiting turnovers. 0 turnovers is a big thing for the Bruins. I think the number for this game for UCLA is to score 30 points. You score 30 points, you have a great chance in this game if they can get to 30 points. I'm not entirely sure at this moment what the UCLA D versus the USC offense looks like. I'll decipher some more notes and get to that later in the episodes we release for Locked On UCLA. But UCLA's offense should settle for nothing less than 30 points. Because even if the defense plays spectacularly, even if they do that, you're still needing 30 points to win this game. Because SC's offense is going to put up numbers. So the Bruins are going to have to match them score for score. Even if it's not 50-50, 49, 48, 50-49, you're probably going to have to score nearly 30 points to win this game. Even if the defense plays good, they're probably going to give up 3 to 4 scores. That I don't think that's the knock on the defense. That's not lack of belief. That's what's on the other side and the talent that USC has, unfortunately to say. So UCLA, regardless of the quarterback, got to protect, limit turnovers, limit dumb mistakes, get out of 3rd and long situations, and just get 6 yards per play, running the football up the middle, doing dumb, simple things, chew up the game clock, keep Caleb off the field, and score freaking points. Do not leave them on the table. In this game, they're going to have to go forward 4th and 1. I'm going to tell you, they're going to have to make those 3rd and shorts, 4th and shorts. Chip Kelly's going to have to be a riverboat gambler, what could very well be his last game at head coach, last game or two, barring something super crazy. And the Bruins will have to convert and be successful. They need to execute. You don't execute, they're not going to win. It's going to be embarrassing if they don't execute. They need to execute to have a chance to beat SC, which they certainly do. But execution will be at a premium for 2 sides of the football, one for SC, one for UCLA, that have just been eyesores at time and have hurt their chances to be truly competitive in this last year of the Pac-12. I think the Bruins number, you got to get to 30 points. Minimum. You don't get to 30 points I'm not sure that they can win this game. I have faith in the defense, but you got to give them some help too for a disunified unit. But beat the Trojans. Beat SC. Let's go, Bruins. Coming up, we're going to talk about UCLA men's basketball. They got Long Island coming into town. Long Island from Brooklyn on a West Coast swing. Barricade? Any Barricade? What do we need from this UCLA men's basketball team? I'll tell you about that next on Locked On UCLA. We spent a lot of time talking, you and I, together, bonding over wins and losses, to fire or not to fire Chip Kelly. We have a connection. I'm thankful for it in this Thanksgiving season. So I want to make this a little more personal because you can get a year supply of medications, ED medications. You can get a year's supply, 12-month supply on your daily medication. All you have to do is go to jacemedical.com and receive a 12-month supply on daily medication so you don't have to worry about refilling your generic meds, whether there's a natural disaster or supply chain issue. All you got to do is go to jacemedical.com, use Locked On at checkout for discounts, and remember that the prices can be a little lower from local pharmacies, a verified customer has said. If someone or you love or someone you love needs peace of mind by getting a year's supply of any daily meds, go to jacemedical.com to see if it's offered for you. Remember to use the promo code Locked On for $20 off your purchase. Again, Locked On at jacemedical.com, JASCmedical.com for $20 off your purchase. Cruising on, second segment here of the Locked On UCLA podcast. Let's roll into basketball because the Bruins finally, after a little bit of a layoff of sorts, they get to play their third game. And what's the status? What is needing to be looked at in this final stretch of the 3 home games against the mid-major programs? And then all of a sudden, you're going to Maui, right? You've got an important game. Well, not Maui. You're going to Honolulu, but the Maui Invitational. You're going to have important games, decisions to make, and everything in between for Mick Cronin. One, what's the status of Berke? To this point, there is no update. It's a waiting game, and he could very well get allowed to play at the last minute. And if he does, he will play. I'm not sure how much it will be, but he will get playing time if he is available to play in the next game. So again, remember, UCLA plays this game, and then they have almost a full week off to prepare, travel, rest for 3 games in 3 days in Honolulu for the Maui Invitational, where they play Marquette, either the winner or loser of the Kansas Chaminade game, and we go from there. Against Long Island, what do I want to see? Well, every single time, the number one thing until it happens, is to see Berke on the floor. Until we see Berke Boyun-Tuncel on the floor, the Turkish big man, who is probably the oldest of the freshmen, I believe, and the most polished, considering he was nearly a freshman for the 22-23 team. He might be the most impactful international freshman the Bruins have that can impact play immediately. I know Feeble, athletic, super athletic, can do things, but I think the most well-rounded, ready-to-play freshman is Berke. Read, looked, and that seems to be the agreement. I remember talking about this in the summer. I'm not saying he's going to win the Wooden Award, Freshman of the Year, probably the international freshman, the most ready to play with an all-around game, and we're waiting to see for when he's available. Until that happens, number one, does Mick Cronin continue, some might say stubbornly, some might say with more of a teacher's mindset, go with the big lineup that wasn't super successful, although he did mention that against Lafayette, they went small, shot a lot of threes. What's going to hurt you in the first round of the NCAA tournament? When you play a mid-major, if the Bruins get a high seed and are sort of blessed to do so this year, that still remains to be seen. You play a mid-major and find out, hey, they're going to play their 5-man on the 3-point line. Is Mick Cronin going to go small, go super defense, be super athletic like the team was somewhat last year? Smaller lineup, did get beaten on the boards a little bit sometimes. Were uber aggressive, forcing turnovers, deflections, blocking shots, and running in transition sometimes, and being very good offensively. Efficient was the word to use offensively. That just hasn't been the case for this year's team that struggled to rebound despite its bigger lineup. And they've also not been as good defensively or offensively with the big lineup. They went small against Lafayette, and all of a sudden, what happens? The Bruins outscored them like 27-5. Lafayette didn't make a field goal for like 10 minutes in a game. Yeah, they missed like 20 That's a little ridiculous, like 10 straight shots. Something ridiculous in terms of missed shots. They couldn't buy a bucket. The Bruins made big plays. Is Mick Cronin going to go big or will he go small? In his press conference post-game, he discussed, hey, I wanted to see what we could do because if we can't go big, that's going to be a problem for a team that is destined to play with the two bigs. Even though we saw Arizona go out early last year, we saw Purdue go out with the big of all the bigs last year. Kentucky couldn't even do things with Oscar Tshiebwe. So we've seen a lot of return to the era of the big man, but has it truly led to a lot of success around college basketball recently? Can the Bruins incorporate that? Can they incorporate ways to build a program against a lot of newcomers with guys learning not only just the Mick Cronin system, the college basketball life, how to play D1 college basketball at a high level, but just some getting acclimated to the LA lifestyle, the living in the US. There's so many things get acclimated. Can Mick Cronin adjust, or will he be stubborn and hard-headed to one teach, but is it my way or the highway? Is that the best thing for this team, or can they be adaptable? Can they be flexible for what this team actually is versus what he thinks it can be, which they can still have a good ceiling, but what is the way to do that? What method? Is it a certain defense? Is it a box and one? Is it a zone? Are they going man-to-man? Is it a crazy switch? Can you go 1 through 5, have guys who can all switch, be uber athletic on the floor and struggle offensively? That's what Mick Cronin needs to find out. Is it the big lineup? Is it the small lineup? What does it look like until Berke comes? 2, who's going to shoot the ball? Who is going to shoot the basketball efficiently from the perimeter? Who can drive and make their own shot? Who can get to the cup and make their own shot? Dylan Andrews in the second half against the Leopards, absolutely fantastic. Was making shots, as I like to say, CP3 status, made 3 of 5 threes. He was making things happen with the basketball. And when you're scoring, missing only a couple shots, when you're shooting as efficiently as Andrews did in that Lafayette game, where off the dribble, fadeaway, elbow jumper, hit a few threes, that is something the Bruins would love to have. If he is doing that, Andrews, spectacular. I didn't necessarily give him that much credit right after the end of the last season as to how big his role would be this year, but it certainly is. And the need for him to develop with all this ample opportunity before Pac-12 play, the need for him to develop and be very good is very, very high. And he displayed that against Lafayette. Now, to continue to do that while not over pursuing shots, while not forcing up shots, taking what the defense gives him, as Mick Cronin so belovingly told the reporters after game 1, take what the defense gives you, pass it to Bona. But if Bona's not there, not having a good game, Andrews will certainly have an opportunity to take open jumpers because that's the scouting report against this team. Let UCLA force them to shoot shots, and someone's going to have to make it. Andrews made it, and if he can do that, or some other Bruin, if it's a game-by-game basis as to who the hero is, go for it. Absolutely go for it. But who can shoot? How's the defense going to look in the big or small lineup? How are they going to shoot? 3rd, rebounding. You got to rebound the basketball. You can't sit there and get out rebounded. I know Mick Cronin's going to talk about the zone and how everything happens. You can't get dominated in second chance points by teams smaller than you, probably less athletic than you, like Lafayette, or equal, like when they play their first game of the season against St. Francis, against the Red Flash. You've got to be much better rebounding the basketball. Marquette is going to kill you on the glass. Kansas is going to kill you on the glass if you get to play them. Whoever in all these games will beat you on the glass. Rebound, what's the defense, what's the lineup look like, and you got to shoot the basketball. All those things, then we'll find out how they look going into the Maui Jim Maui Invitational. Those are my 3 things to know for this one, and still no full update on Berke until UCLA says he's going to play. I haven't heard an inkling that he is, probably not at this moment against Long Island. Unfortunate. But hey, let's get the Bruins, get that 3rd dub. And beat SC, second mark. Go Bruins. Coming up next, we talk about UCLA women's basketball, baby. Despite what could be some bad news for Bessoir, the Bruins still unbeaten. Let's talk about it here to wrap up the show. Every day can feel like a high-stakes wager. If you're looking for new hires, every potential new hire feels like a high-stakes wager. So you want to be 100% certain. 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. What are you doing when you're social networking, when you're looking for new jobs, or maybe looking at, you use LinkedIn, right? So use LinkedIn Jobs because that helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. All you got to do is use simple tools like screening questions. Makes it easy to find candidates. One, you want to interview so you don't waste your time. Two, then you want to get the right people to hire. So you get the field narrowed to the right candidates for the interview process, and then you get the right people you want to hire. Small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number one in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. So all you have to do is post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Cruising on in the final segment of Locked On UCLA. Hey, the Bruins, women's basketball, 3-0. After craziness, absolute craziness in women's college basketball, couple top teams getting knocked off, UConn, LSU, some stunning things to either unranked opponents or the simply dominant Pac-12 conference in women's basketball that has been undefeated for a long stretch to start the season, dominant in like one of the longest couple of decades long stretches for most unbeaten teams this deep in the season. Yes, 2-3 games, ridiculous. Still, that's the case. 5 of the top 10 teams in the AP poll, Pac-12 teams. After seeing some teams bump down from 1 to 7, you saw South Carolina jump all the way to 1. So UCLA's not number 2. They're stuck at number 3 behind Iowa. They'll take it after a 113-64 win over Bellarmine out of the ASUN. They fall to 0-2. The Bruins 3-0, looking very, very good. Now, I don't have an official update about Emily Vissoir. I know you could probably look at the socials, see what happened. She got banged up a bit in her FIBA appearance internationally, and it did not look good with the injury on the same leg, same knee, I believe, potentially, that she had her ACL tear, and we hope she's okay, although that is not looking promising. I haven't heard any news at the recording of this podcast just yet. And they've been having different players, UCLA, in and out of the lineup with players representing the country, injuries, back and forth. So still, they have no Dugalic. Players come back. It's been an interesting lineup. So the depth of this team has not truly been put to the test. And interesting enough, we won't know the entirety of the depth if Vissoir is out for a while the whole season. The big thing we did get to see, though, in Game 3, Gabby Jaquez. Maybe baby Jaquez, maybe the only Jaquez, but it's Gabriela Jaquez. It was her night to steal the show. 30 points, 12 rebounds. Big-time performance, 12 for 19 shooting, 33 minutes in the start, and led the Bruins in this dominant game. Hit a couple of threes, but mostly just got to the cup with ease, got some easy buckets, and was leading the show. 4 of the 5 starters for UCLA, 21 points or more, led by Jaquez. Osborne with 24 and 10 with 4 assists, no turnovers. You had Lauren Betts, UCLA Athlete of the Week, one of the most dominant players in the conference in the opening week. The Bruins literally just said, hey, we'll take you from Stanford, bring her in, and she's averaging a double-double basically, 20 and 10. Not officially, she's averaging like 18 points per game, but basically it's a 20-10 double-double. 22 points, 11 rebounds. That is fortification down low in the paint that the Bruins did not have a year ago. And if they don't get Vissoir back, then you've got Lauren Betts there. A different skill set, certainly, but can help the Bruins immensely. London Jones, 5 threes, hitting the 3-ball. Important to see her presence. Kiki Rice, do you love me? Do you pass the ball? Absolutely, because 8 points, 11 assists, 1 turnover. That is a dominant assist-to-turnover ratio. That is taking care of the basketball, even though it wasn't her best shooting night, even though they had to be on hand for one of the worst UCLA football games in the history at the Rose Bowl. They had to sit there. Yes, they were there. Probably Kiki took it more personal because she didn't shoot the ball well the next night after the football team was terrible, but she passed the ball fantastic. The Bruins starting 5 absolutely played a fantastic game. Now you see where the Bruins going to the post, important to get Betts, but if UCLA can get some 3-point shooting, Osborne, 6 of 11 shooting 3, London Jones hitting 5 threes in a start. If Osborne can continue to be an important 3-point shooter, she can expand on her 3-point prowess this year. So far in the first couple of games, she's shooting 54% from 3. Last year, Osborne is UCLA's leading scorer, averaging 15.9 points per game, 29% from 3. Easily her worst percentage. And unfortunately for the Bruins, she made more threes ever in her career in a single season, but also, made nearly as many threes, but took the most amount of threes she'd ever taken. Got to the free throw line more, but averages and percentages were down. Now, maybe with the load lifted, the freshmen, sophomores, you got an easier chance to get in the paint, giving it to Betts. She's shooting at 12 for 22, maybe being more patient with her shot, not needing to score every possession like it seemingly had to be on her shoulders in the 22-23 season. Playing a little bit less minutes so far with the early blowouts, hasn't had to take as many shots, and she's reaping the benefits with her shooting percentages. 55%, 54%, 4 for 4 from 3, averaging 8 rebounds. Last year, she was the leading rebounder. She's got 8.7 rebounds, and now she's going to have some competition rebounding the basketball. 5 assists per game. So she's spreading the wealth, getting the boards, hitting buckets at a higher clip. Yes, I know who the competition is. They beat down Purdue, future Big Ten rival. They were able to take down their last 2 opponents, right? A Big West opponent, and then you took down Bellarmine. So here UCLA is preparing for UConn. Unfortunately, UConn lost. It would have been nice to knock them off as the first team, but UCLA's got to go and do that themselves. Osborne reaping the benefits of the extra help, getting older, Betts coming in, and hopefully that is a season-long trend, her improved percentages. That is something to take note of. One, obviously, Bessoir. Don't personally know at this moment. I've seen things, read things. I haven't seen anything official at this moment that confirms her being out long-term for the season or not. And then you've got Osborne, who is playing much better efficiency-wise. And for UCLA to do that and have her do that, they can go far even if they have to deal with some injuries. Hopefully not, but that might be the case. Because Betts has been absolutely fantastic. And then the super sophomores, if you don't include the transfer Betts, have all each taken a next level up in their game and dominated for one reason or another in each of the first 3 games. And the Bruins will benefit from that when they play UConn, when they play these top teams in these neutral site big-time games. So the Bruins, let's go kick some butt, win the Pac-12, and prove that they're the best team in the country if they can this year. Go make a first Final Four, and Corey Close continues to bring in superstars. Hey, Sienna, Lauren Betts' sister, committed to UCLA, 5-star. Imagine having those 2 post players. That would be a big lineup. That's in a couple years, maybe, if the Bruins are lucky. But they did get Lauren Betts' sister, or as she says, Sienna's sister? Lauren herself, 5-star. Corey Close just continues to bring in talent. Now it's just to develop this year's talent into a championship contender. And they look the part so far in the first 3 games. In the meantime, we're going to wrap up this episode saying, beat SC, suck it, Locked On UCLA, suck it, Locked On USC, Locked On UCLA. Going to be talking about this matchup all week long, baby. Bring it. Bring it, bring it. Hands up, Bruins fans. 8 clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA beat SC. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer signing off. Go Bruins.